26 years after going on a cruise ship with her family, Amy Bradley is still missing. Her father Ron had won a trip through work and decided to include not only his wife Iva, but son Brad and daughter Amy. Amy was 23, 2 years older than Brad. On March 21st, 1998, the family boarded the Royal Caribbean ship Rhapsody of the Seas in Puerto Rico. Everything was going well until the early morning hours of March 24th. Amy and her brother Brad had been at a late party on Deck 9, where the calypso band Blue Orchid was playing. She was seen dancing with the bass player, Alistair Douglas, whose nickname was Yellow. He later claimed that he left the party at 1 a.m. Brad signaled to Amy that he was leaving and went back to the family's shared cabin at 3:35 a.m. 5 minutes later, Amy joined him. They sat talking out on their balcony. At some point, Amy mentioned not feeling well. Brad went to bed, but Amy remained on the balcony. Between 5:15 and 5:30, Amy's dad Ron woke and could see that Amy was still in a chair out on the balcony. He assumed she was sleeping and dozed off again. At 6 a.m. he got up and realized she was no longer out there on the balcony or in bed. Her cigarettes and lighter that had been beside her on a table were missing, but the sliding door to the balcony was slightly open, and a shirt she had been wearing was draped over a chair inside the room. He began searching for her, and at 6:30 the family reported her missing to the ship's staff. Rhapsody of the Seas was nearing Curacao, and the Bradleys asked that passengers be prevented from the imminent disembarking. They requested an emergency announcement, but this was denied, and they were told it's too early. At 7:50, the first public announcement was made, asking for Amy Bradley to come to the purser's desk. Passengers were already disembarking then. The family was told to return to their cabin, and Amy's dad was told that the crew searched every nook and cranny of the ship between 12:15 and 1. The family would learn later that none of the passengers' cabins were searched, only the common areas, and not a trace of Amy was found. A 4-day search was conducted by the Dutch Caribbean Coast Guard without success. Initially, authorities thought Amy had fallen overboard or taken her own life, but that theory was later ruled out because of her strong swimming skills and experience, and no evidence supported it. A cab driver claimed to see her later on the island, barefoot and asking for help finding a phone, but she walked off in the opposite direction. During interviews, several witnesses claimed to have seen Amy on the upper deck between 5:30 and 5:45 a.m. with Douglas, the band member. One witness recalled seeing him hand Amy a drink, and shortly after 6 a.m., he was seen leaving the area. In August of 1998, a tourist reported seeing Amy on the beach in Curacao and identified her by her tattoos. She was with two men who seemed to have control over her. In 1998, there was a story of a woman asking for help, claiming to be Amy, but unfortunately it wasn't reported until 2002. In 2005, a woman reportedly saw Amy in a department store bathroom in Barbados. She said two men were waiting outside for Amy and took her away. None of these sightings have been officially verified, but due to the sheer number of them, human trafficking has become a popular theory in Amy's disappearance. In 2005 also, Amy's parents received an email with images of a woman that resembled Amy on a sex worker website. Facial recognition experts concluded it could be her. Over time, the Bradley family noticed a specific IP address from Barbados that visited the website devoted to finding Amy. Whoever it was reportedly lingered for extended periods, but so far the address has not been identified. Amy was also reported in Aruba in 2007. In 2010, a human jawbone washed ashore in Aruba. It was suspected to belong to Natalie Holloway. DNA testing ruled that out, but authorities declined to test it in relation to any other missing persons case. In March of 2010, Amy was declared legally dead. No physical evidence has ever been found.
Hi. That was really sad. Welcome. We're back with a new episode early of True Crime Psychic Eye, and we will get into why we are back early in just a minute. We typically do 2 episodes per month. So if you have a case you'd like us to investigate, please let us know. Just add it in the comments. Let's get started. My name's Maryam. I'm a psychic medium, and we have Harlow, our researcher, the brains and the talent behind all of it. And then we have Denise, who is also a psychic medium. Hi, ladies.
Hello.
So tonight is Amy Bradley's case. She vanished from a cruise ship in 1998 during a trip with her family. A recent Netflix documentary has put her case back in the spotlight, which is why we're here tonight. Theories as to what happened to her vary from falling overboard or taking her own life to foul play and even falling victim to human trafficking, but no physical evidence has ever been found. So I think Harlow maybe had this on her docket for already, but then like a couple people started recommending it, and so we thought, should we get into this early? And Harlow, do you want to explain kind of what happened from there?
Yeah, I had figured I would get to her eventually. There's, several missing persons, famous, well-known cases that I figured we'd eventually do, and she was one of them for sure. And then when the Netflix documentary came out, and it's everywhere. If you look on TikTok, there's all these people going live talking about it. There's psychics giving their opinions, and it's really hot right now. So we decided to go ahead and do it.
Do you happen to have, I know we didn't talk about this, you may not have it. Do you happen to have any of what some of those psychics have said? Not that
It
I want
was
you to share it now, but
It was all over the map. I mean,
oh,
I
okay.
saw several different people that did tarot card readings, that just did psychic impressions and channeling, and it went from she fell overboard, she's dead, to she was kidnapped, and it's human trafficking, and just all kinds of different things.
Wow, that's interesting. All
Mhm.
right. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your experience leading up to tonight?
Okay, yeah. Sometimes I do have a little experience. Seem to connect with some of the cases. I hadn't for the last few episodes. This one, I went ahead, and I know people that watch the show or realize that I do the video in the beginning to explain the whole story and get the basic facts in there with the images and everything. I made a short promo of it so we could promote the show. And when I went to record the voiceover, I was just using the voice memos on my phone, the memo recorder on it, and I had recorded the voiceover, and when you do that on a phone, it titles it new recording. So I clicked on it to backspace and name it so I'd know which file it was, and I typed in Amy promo.
Mhm.
And I never looked away. I was staring right at the phone, and there was like this blip in time, like a blink of something strange happening. And it changed before my eyes to from Amy promo to Santorini, and which I had never heard of before. I'm not a geography person. I didn't even know if it was a real thing or not. I figured, how could that possibly be spell check? How do you go from Amy promo to Santorini perfectly just like that in a couple matter of seconds?
Mhm.
So I Googled it, and it's a Greek island. And as I read further, it said it was a common known port for cruise ships.
Hmm.
So that struck me as pretty weird.
It's
So
incredible. That is incredible. Yeah.
yeah. So of course your mind starts going crazy thinking, okay, what does that mean? And I went on and I added the voiceover to my little promo, and then I tried to put background music on it, and I was sitting there doing that, something touched me on the arm. It wasn't a tap or a poke, it was up and down. I thought,
Hmm.
okay, somebody's
Hmm.
trying to tell me something.
Mhm.
So then last night was the kicker. I watched a show with Anita, and came back in here in my room, and I had it dark. I was going to meditate. I sat down to meditate, closed my eyes, and almost immediately, never felt anything like it. If I was going to describe what it felt like, it would be what I would imagine would be the sensation of being in an elevator,
Mhm.
having a cable cut, and just plummet straight down. That's what I felt. That's what my body went through. My stomach dropped. I got whiplash. It was extreme. And it really kind of rattled me. But like not more than a minute after, you texted me. And we started talking. I'm like, hey, something just happened. But I didn't want to tell you too much because I
Mhm.
didn't want to influence your reading. It was extreme. And I've had whiplash before, so it's a problem for me because now I have a headache. And I was a little queasy for a while. So it takes now a couple days for me to get past the headache because it's an old whiplash injury and it lingers. You have trouble with it over the years, but it was extreme. It was, and the word that flashed in front of me as I dropped was drop. So
Okay.
my mind went to, okay, she fell, but you can't immediately assume this drop was off the cruise ship. What if she was taken elsewhere and dropped somewhere else?
Right.
So I didn't want to rush to judgment on that. But then I'm laying there. The morning I woke up and I didn't remember any dreams, but I was trying to piece together things and make sense of it. I was like, okay, if she did fall off the cruise ship, I mean, chances are you're not going to survive because she was on one of the high floors. It's like 11 stories. That's like falling from a high rise. So people do survive sometimes, but not very often. So I thought, okay, if that happened, what the heck is Santorini?
Mm-hmm.
How do I connect the dots there? So
Okay.
I don't know. And then the only other thing that happened after that is I'm laying there trying to figure these things out. A song popped into my head, and it was a song by Evanescence called Afterlife.
Oh, wow.
So that's my collection of experiences.
Okay.
Something else.
So obviously you're communicating with her on some level. We just need to put that together. I know I'm looking up the email you sent me to get the pictures.
Okay.
And I know, okay. Is this her brother in that one picture?
With her, well, most likely. There's some with her and with the brother and with the dad also. I thought I labeled them.
Yeah.
Dead air.
I know. I was just thinking, I'm like, you had one heck of an experience there, Harlow.
Yeah, that was one of the most extreme things I've felt.
Okay. We'll definitely get into that in just a minute. I just don't want it to.
No, I don't. I can't. And usually when I have paranormal experiences, I get a knowing or a download to understand what's going on and why. But that wasn't the case. This was so extreme. I think it just still jolted me so much. It was crazy.
Super startling, especially when you already had a previous injury similar to that experience. It just
it was like a
brings you back
traumatic
to the
injury. Yeah.
Yeah, brings you back to the trauma of the first time, not what you're going through in the moment. Sure.
But I didn't feel pushed or anything else or hit. It was just drop fast.
I just got a hit. I'm going to write it down.
Okay. What's the brother's name?
Brad.
What?
Brad Bradley.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
okay. Got it. So I'm not sure if she is, I don't know yet if she is still alive or not. She's in a cell down below. I don't know yet just where down below is. She didn't fall off the ship. 。 There is a lot of confusion around her. There's a lot of confusion around around her. There's the energy around what happened to her is chaotic, which is why there's a lot of mixed messages and why psychics are having a hard time lining up the pieces. Because correct me if I'm wrong, Harlow, but typically I think in some of the cases we've done, there's been alignment with most psychics, right?
Not always, but I think probably a large percentage.
There's okay.
This one is all over the map for sure.
Yeah. So the reason why this is all over the map is because I'm not convinced that I think she may still be alive. And her energy is very strong. Because even though she obviously would be in a weakened state, for some reason, I don't feel her energy to be weak. She's not reading to me as someone who's debilitated or drugged up, not by her own doing, but I'm not, and that doesn't mean that she isn't in those states. She isn't being drugged up or whatever. I'm just saying, like, her vibration is reading as strong. And in this moment, I'm going to stick with alive until we're shown different. And so the confusion is because she's been moved around to a lot of different places. And so we may find that what the other psychics have seen, pieces of all of that is true because she's moved around. She was taken, she did not leave willingly. And I'm seeing her walking off the ship with somebody. And I do feel that there was an error on the ship's part to not check the rooms. There was, I don't know if there still is, but there was a false sense of security that was had, that everyone on these cruises were sort of not vetted, but there wasn't now this may or may not be a true statement, but I'm hearing that there wasn't a outwardly known, I'll use the word trafficking, although I'm not going there yet, that went on cruise ships. So there wasn't this, oh, we need to be aware of who's on the ship because we have random men coming on and taking young girls. Because if that was happening that often, obviously we would know, right? Like, family would be continually reporting missing daughters after they go on a cruise, right? And that wasn't happening. So there wasn't a need for them to be concerned that this could happen. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
That these people that came on the ship came on to do what they did. There were people on the ship, bought tickets, got on the ship purposely to traffic, to kidnap. Right now, I don't feel that that musician had anything to do with that.
Okay.
But when I come out, I'll look again. But right now, I don't feel that. Your drop was her being dropped in a cell.
Okay.
Logical pieces would be a cell in Santorini. But that's just me piecing logic together for a moment.
Right.
Because the experiences that you had were her and were an example of how strong her energy is.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to keep going back to saying, I'm not sure yet if her energy is, if she's stuck because of the trauma or if she's still alive.
Okay.
Okay, Denise, you want to jump in?
Okay, so to go back to the promo, when Harlow, you said that somebody handed her a drink, it was drugged. Not heavily, but that's why when she got back to the room, she didn't feel well.
Mm-hmm.
Then she did get up and leave because she was going to the store, or you know what I mean, they have on the ships to like get some remedy to make her feel better.
Okay.
But in that process, she was waylaid, and somebody was like, and I do get the sense that she knew this person, not well, but knew this person. And they're like, oh, I've got something for you. And that's how it was so easy for them to take her. I got a sense when Maryam was speaking that the drop, because that she was dropped in a cell of some sort below deck. And they didn't check below deck because they thought, why would she be down there? Everybody that works for us is safe. So that's where I got that, so that they didn't check there. They said they checked the common areas, correct?
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah, and so that's not part of the common area.
No.
I do feel like she's still alive, that her will to live is very, very strong. She just can't get away from who has her long enough to figure out a plan on how to extract herself from that. And I agree with Maryam. She's not drugged beyond recognition of her own volition. I get a sense that she is drugged when they make her go do things she doesn't want to do, because I get the sense like she kind of puts up a fight.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not compliant for what they're having her go do. So they have to kind of mellow her out, so to speak, so that she will go do what they want / need her to do. Because I also have a sense that she actually generates a lot of money for them. So, but I have a weird sense with her brother. I haven't quite figured it out because, like Maryam, I did not watch the documentary. I have not looked at anything. The only thing that I looked at was the photos that you sent to us. So I have no idea really what's really going on as far as what's out there on social media or anywhere else. So but something's off. Something feels off with the family somehow.
What has kind of come to light is, they've been talking about her like sexual orientation, and the family wasn't happy because she was bi. And so a lot of rumors and stuff are flying around right now. We don't really know how much is, the case there.
So when I look at Alistair
Mhm.
Yellow Douglas, I feel, is he still alive?
I believe so.
He wasn't involved, but he knows he's feeling guilty. And because he knows of these men that he thought was sketchy or was like, these guys are up to something. There was some connection that he made and never called the cops on these guys.
Okay.
And then when this happened, it just confirmed what he was thinking may have been going on with these guys.
Mhm.
And I feel like he may have a little more information than he's letting on, not because he's withholding purposely and not because he's trying to hurt anybody. I think he may have blocked some stuff out. Because I feel like he's aware of something with what took place.
Would you like to take a couple questions?
Yeah.
Katie Paranormal is asking, was a crew member directly involved with her disappearance?
No.
Okay.
These were people that bought tickets for the cruise to do this.
I agree with you that Alistair has blocked some of this out because he doesn't want to believe that it really happened. I agree he did know this person or persons or something was not right. But he didn't want to believe that he was a part of this kind of thing. And so he's just stayed quiet all of these years, pretending that it actually didn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel his energy getting more anxious now that this is all coming back again. Like he's getting paranoid. Like he doesn't know where to go. He doesn't know where to turn because now his face in different stages of his life are kind of plastered all over the internet.
Yeah.
And he's afraid somebody's going to find him and question him now.
His own daughter has been in the forefront too, asking him what's going on because supposedly the mom had found pictures of Caucasian women in one of his suitcases. So there's a lot of questions there. The daughter was already, having suspicions. So he's been brought way back into the story.
Okay. Well, one of the things that I am aware of is that a lot of the crew members on a cruise, they have contracts for anywhere from 6 months to a year, depending on what the ship is. So that's why the ship probably feels like their crew is safe because these people have such long contracts.
Mm-hmm.
And he probably had a very long contract. So he probably was away from his family for an extended period of time.
I think that Alistair was just being a kind of irresponsible partying guy and knew that these guys were sketchy and chose to still play a part in it, not realizing what he was really doing, because he does have a conscience. So he's, yeah. And especially now as he's gotten older, it's weighing on him. So sorry, go ahead. Another question.
Janice is asking, did they get her off the ship in a container like a suitcase or trunk? I think you said you saw her walking off. Right.
They changed, when they brought her out from below deck, they had her dressed differently. And because nobody really knew what she looked like, so they didn't really pay any mind to who was going off the ship. Like, because and I don't know what it was like back then, but they scan your stuff when you get on the ship. They scan your stuff if you get off. They scan your stuff to make sure you got back on. So, I mean, but I don't know what the protocols were back then in 1998. I have no idea.
I'm sure it was a lot looser.
Right. And so I think that it was very easy to get her off. And I feel like what I'm seeing is that this person had a good grip on her and threatened her that if she made any moves, that this would not be good for her, the rest of her family, because whoever he was with was still on the ship. So she was afraid that they could actually make good on what was happening. And so she complied. But I also feel like he lied to her and said, if you do this, then I'll let you go back. So I feel like she didn't fight as hard as she might have. Not that she didn't, but when you're threatened like that, I would presume, your first priority is going to save your family, right? So that's what I'm getting from that, how they just walked her off in plain sight, because I think it was easy to do.
Let me throw Anita's question up there. Could the brother have been drugged lightly as well, as he was the last legitimate known contact with her?
I don't think the brother had anything to do with it.
I don't think he was drugged either. I think he was like, oh, let her just be her, kind of thing.
I feel like they separated at a certain point and he didn't see anything.
Yeah.
I don't feel like he saw anything, knew of anything. They just, went their separate ways at one point, like they always do, and was just, minding his own business. And this happened, like nobody saw this happen,
Yeah, at that time in the morning too, especially after everybody was partying.
I just have a weird feeling about the brother, not that he had anything to do with it, but I have a feeling he knew something about his sister that his parents didn't know. And so it's more of a secret he was keeping. I don't know if it had something to do with what was going on in her life or, and I don't know why, but baby pregnancy, that keeps coming up for me. So I don't know if he knew something, if maybe I have no idea. I'm probably opening up in a can of worms here, but but something was odd about.
I feel like what you're picking up on too is, I feel like what you're picking up on is, I almost want to say, not use the word typical, but I mean, at that age with two kids that are, and with a young daughter who's more rebellious than not, it's like she was the black sheep of the family, and she was trying to create her own path, and she wasn't thinking the way they thought, and she wasn't, she was everything they weren't. And I don't mean that in a bad way at all. She was just, the black sheep. And so, yeah, there was stress in the family, and there was misunderstanding of each other. And I agree, the brother probably was not telling the parents a lot of stuff, because that's what we do when we're young. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, she was 23 and he was 2 years younger. So yeah, you don't do that. And let me ask another question here. It comes from basically the Netflix show. What about the neighbor on the ship? Was he a part of it? There was a guy supposedly in the cabin next to them that people thought was sketchy. that I think potentially knew her father or worked with him.
No, these are two people. These are two men, dark hair. They feel Middle Eastern or Greek or, I, that bought tickets to be on the ship to do this. And they weren't seeking her specifically. They were just seeking, they
Someone.
were prey.
Right.
Yeah, they were looking for their prey. So, I mean, he very well may have been sketchy, but it wasn't him.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think he was, as the so cliche, but like I think he was a dirty old man, creepy.
Yeah, I kind of got that impression.
But I don't think he had anything to do with her disappearance at all either. I think he was
Okay.
just.
Let me cross another thing off the list from the Netflix show. Did it have anything to do with drugs?
No.
Okay.
No.
Just trying to ask questions that everybody might want to know.
No, it's not like they used her as a mule or anything like that. That's.
I think what the show was saying was that she may have wanted to, because there was there were a bunch of sightings of her after she went missing.
Mhm.
One of the guys said he was approached by someone when he was in a brothel. Of course, he didn't report it for like 2 years, but he said she told him her name was Amy Bradley and she was asking for help. And she supposedly told him she had left the ship to get drugs. So that's where that came from.
Why did it take him so long to report it?
Because he was in the Navy and he didn't want to get in trouble. So yeah, let's just let somebody be in trouble.
Well, I'm not in the armed services, so I have no idea. But isn't it probably similar to first responder that your first priority is to take care of? I don't know.
One would think. Yeah.
So I want to go back to, how old was Amy at the time?
23.
So Amy was doing what every girl at her age does, and they're experimenting and partying and having fun and meeting people and trusting people and living her life. But she did not willingly leave that ship.
Okay. So how about all of the reported sightings of her? Are any of those real? Have people actually seen her?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
they have.
that's where I think a lot of the mixed messages are coming from, because she's been all over. And I think the biggest question is, if she's alive and her energy is strong, like everyone's saying, why isn't she coming forward now and saying, I need help, I'm Amy? And I feel like if she is still alive, she's feeling to me like someone who feels like they have control over their life to a certain degree, feels like they have. See, we might be feeling her right before she was killed, because she's feeling really strong and headstrong and like, I can do this, I've got this, like I'll get out of this.
Right. That's kind of how her personality is described.
Oh, really? Okay.
And now, if she is still alive, she's 50.
Mm-hmm.
So if she's still working for them in some capacity,
Right.
she would be running the show now. They're not necessarily, like, I still don't have a sense that she's dead.
I agree with you, because that's what I got out of it. I may not understand all the details, but I felt her so strongly. I felt really the connection, and it didn't seem like somebody that had passed. And even when I heard the song lyrics, even though the title is Afterlife, it talks about, I'll meet you in the afterlife. I'm okay to die now, but you're going to pay for what you've done.
I just got chills And I feel like the afterlife, I think that's it for her. It's like when she's found, this will be the afterlife. Like you'll be paid for
True.
what you did. I
Yeah.
feel like, you know,
Possibly.
yeah, the afterlife was the life she was living with her family. And like you said, Miriam, just super rebellious and, living her best life and trying all the things and, blah, blah, blah. And she wasn't a bad kid. You know what I mean? She was just sowing her oats, as they say. And
Mhm.
I feel like when this happened to her, it was more of like a holy shit.
Yeah.
You know, what just happened? I didn't see that coming. I didn't know I wasn't safe because, I think you even said, Harlow, there's that false sense of security on a ship that, or maybe it was you, Maryam, that it was just like you felt like you're safe on this little city on the ocean or whatever. And
Especially then, yeah.
and so she really thought she could do more things.
Yeah, and her family was on board too,
Right. So I think she just felt like if she stayed up all night dancing, she was just going to go back to her parents' room and that would be safe. You know
Exactly.
what I mean? It wasn't like, she was going to get in a taxi with somebody and.
I feel like when she was, when who said the father had the sliding door was open?
Yeah, he woke up about 5:30, 5:35 something and noticed she was still asleep because she had been out on the balcony with her brother. He got up and went to bed. She stayed out on the balcony. The father woke up about 5:30, saw her, partially her legs or something, laying on a chair out there. So knew she was out there, figured she was asleep. He kind of went back to sleep a little bit. And then he woke up again at 6 and noticed she was gone. She wasn't out there anymore and she wasn't in bed. So that's when he got concerned because it's early in the morning and they'd been partying and she never came inside to go to bed. So she was gone. He started looking for her.
Mm-hmm. Because that sort of triggered some, like you can feel someone moving through the space. Someone moved through that door. And I don't feel at any point from when she was laying on that patio that she got up willingly, and I feel like she was taken from there, and then, like Denise says, maybe she was taken down below, just because I see her walking off the ship with someone against her will.
Mm-hmm.
People are commenting about how the dad was worrying about her being missing in such a short time, basically 30 minutes. And then Anita says the response time of dad and mom sounding the alarm was fast.
The ship was negligent.
The ship was.
Yeah,
And
I think
go ahead.
I was going to say, I think the quick response by the parents, I feel like they were afraid she was really drunk wandering the ship. And so they were concerned about her, maybe because she had been out partying all night and, that sort of thing. And being a parent myself, you just have this weird feeling sometimes even as psychics, we do, it's like, oh, and I just think it was one of those, they just knew something wasn't right.
Right.
I agree.
That makes sense.
Agree. Mm-hmm. I agree. They were sensing that. So, okay. So if just for argument's sake, if she was taken against her will from the patio, brought down,
Well,
go ahead.
you saying somebody came into the mom and dad's room and took her, or?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. That's pretty bold.
Someone came in, took her, and took her down underneath, like Denise is saying, because they couldn't take her off the ship right away.
Right.
And then they walked her out.
Okay.
And she's easy to disguise her because she didn't have long hair, so they could just throw a hat on, right?
True.
Yeah, for some reason I'm feeling the removal of her from the
Okay.
patio. Like I'm
Wow.
feeling her being removed from the patio. I'm not feeling her getting up and going and doing stuff. I'm feeling an entrance and a removal.
Okay.
And I feel like that may have been what triggered the father.
Okay. That might have been why he
There
woke
was
up.
this sense that just like something feels off. What is it?
And Harlow, in the pictures that you sent us, I believe there is one of the ship and the room. Is that the actual stateroom that the family stayed in?
The one
Or is
that's circled, or the outside view or the inside
that
view?
the inside view?
I could only find one inside view of that room, and that's supposed to be it. I don't know what time frame that was taken, but it
Okay.
is that room.
Okay, because that's actually a pretty big room.
Mm-hmm.
So it is possible that somebody could have gotten in
Good
and
point.
out without tripping.
Yeah.
Because those staterooms are tiny, but
Yeah.
that was a pretty good size because
He had won that trip from his work. He may have had to upgrade it since he was bringing both the kids.
right. And I know this because I actually just went on a cruise in June.
Right.
So I'm aware of the size of some of the rooms. And so this is a good size room. So
Mhm.
I agree with Maryam. It is possible somebody could have quietly got in, especially if that was their intention.
Sure. Or he had done it before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
But maybe didn't take a person off the ship, maybe gone in and, kidnapped, so to speak, and then, but just something, I don't know, maybe something happened and they couldn't go all the way through with it, or maybe they've just been practicing until they actually pulled it off.
Yeah, it's one man went in there. It was one of the two men, and he went in, took her. Again, let's kind of walk through it. So then if we're following that, Denise is then saying they're going underneath. Then they wait for the ship to dock. They easily walk her off. She is in like a twilight state at that point. So she isn't fully aware of what's really happening yet until they get her completely off. And if she is still alive, there is this, it's like if she wouldn't need to be found because she knows who she is.
Okay.
And so then someone might ask, well, why would she do that to her family? At this point, logic and none of it is fair. We can't point the finger at her and say, why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
She, after everything that she has experienced and been through, we can't say. I don't know. That's for a therapist to say, right?
You're certainly not going to say anything or fight. If someone comes into your parents' room and starts taking you out, threatening to hurt them if you say anything or make any noise, you're going to be quiet.
But I mean now, today.
I know. Yeah.
Right.
Right.
So that's where it was interesting, because what triggered another intuitive sense for me was when Denise said, when she's found, and that what triggered that is she doesn't need to be found, right? Not saying you're wrong, Denise, saying you triggered that for me by saying that. You triggered that insight of, no, she's aware.
Okay.
So, and she's not doing anything to hurt anybody or hurt her family, or it's everything I just said. But
it's like an abuse victim. People always are like, why did you not leave? And it's like, when you're in the throes of that, your conscious mind is not logical. It's in survival. And so you're just going to do what you need to do, or you feel like you need to do in order to survive. Because at this point they've manipulated her brain and brainwashed her to, not like with drugs and stuff per se, but they've got her to where they're, she feels like they're if she, I think, I don't know, I kind of feel like almost like she's trying to get a plan together, but she also knows, at least right now, if she's still alive, she is staying alive. Whereas if her plan fails, she might not survive.
There's one other thing I wanted to touch on that was in the documentary, and they've noticed on the Find Amy website that some IP address, I think it was from Barbados, keeps coming onto the site on holidays and like family members' birthdays and special occasions, and they stay on there quite a while. They linger. So there's speculation that's her. You can get a feel for that.
See, I don't feel that she is in danger anymore because her personality is not one to stay victimized.
Mm-hmm.
And so to sort of Denise's point, I don't know if it's specifically this, but she's created a life for herself.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like the original two men that did this to her don't exist anymore. I don't know if they've died. I don't know if they're just not there, but they're not around her anymore.
Okay.
And
I mean,
they declared her legally dead, correct?
Yes.
Why is that?
It's just been so many years and they never found any evidence whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
And what was it, in 2008 or 2000? When did they declare her dead?
Yeah, I don't remember. I think it was 2008.
Okay. So it was, 10 years, right? Is that 10 years? Mm-hmm. My mouth isn't great.
Yeah.
After, this sounds morbid, but I don't know, maybe there was some type of life insurance policy that the parents took out on her when they, because a lot of parents will do that when kids are little, take out a life insurance policy, and maybe I have no idea. This is not
You're speculating why they would have declared her dead. I got you.
Maybe, and she was missing and she was gone and there was no evidence to prove or disprove. So it's not like they were scamming the insurance company for the money. It's just a loose end to tie up.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think that I feel like, so to answer your question, Harlow, about the IP address, yes, that IP address should be looked at, and there is a connection on the other end. There is someone on the other end of that that is purposely doing this. I don't feel her being... I guess what I want to say is this. If what we are feeling is correct, she does have a way out. Mm-hmm. And just like what we were talking about, really it comes down to living in an abusive world for so long. Do you step out of it? And it's not that she has a way out, like what's wrong with her. It's more so like, well, she's no longer enslaved, but she has, whether it's a husband or boyfriend or girlfriend or somebody in her life that's abusive, that keeps her there.
And she could conceivably have kids too by now.
Right. Because I guess choosing to be in an I say that lightly, in a bad relationship versus being abducted still. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So part of me feels like I don't even want to out her, like a part of me feels like I don't want to find where she's at. It's none of our business where she's at. It's where if she wants us to know, she'll tell us. So then the question is, what you were experiencing, Harlow, was not her, but was you experiencing what she went through.
Okay.
But it wasn't her saying, help me. Mm-hmm. That's what I feel.
I think if it was going to be a help me, I would have got more pointed information. It was really general and all over. So that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. I think your skill set is just developing and getting stronger. And because she very well may be alive, and because she happens to have very, it's interesting because she's I feel like she's grown into a very defiant, strong individual, and we're feeling that.
Mm-hmm.
And that helped you to also feel her experience. Because listen, at the end of the day, she was abducted. She
Yeah.
was kidnapped and abducted, and she was enslaved or trafficked, whatever those words are we want to use, for God knows how long.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just because she has a uniquely gifted personality and strength to her that
Mm-hmm.
she somehow navigated out of enslavement and put herself into a position of living more freely, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like it's not for anyone to out her. And that may also contribute to why the mixed messages.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that
And
makes
this
sense.
goes back to something I think we talked about. Well, Harlow, you and I didn't directly talk about, but something on our TikTok page behind the hauntings, when you talk about being super sensitive, like how it's a psychic medium's job and responsibility to be so sensitive to interpretation
Mm-hmm.
and so sensitive to the beings that you are speaking with, whether they are in body or not,
Mm-hmm.
so you don't cross boundaries. And I feel like
Mm-hmm.
this is such a perfect example of that if this woman is alive and doesn't want to be found, then
We
you
need to leave her
respect.
alone.
And if you start to look at how everybody was getting such mixed messages,
Yeah,
that's starting to make sense.
it does.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I think at this point, like, I agree. She's living her life, her, I don't know, best life at this point for where she's at. And I think she just doesn't really want to cause more chaos, more drama. I think she's just, you know, and I agree with you, Miriam. I think if she wants to show up and surprise, here I am, not really, but you know what I mean? I think she'll do that, but it needs, I get it, it needs to be on her terms, not because she's being pushed into the limelight because of a documentary.
Mm-hmm. Being outed, basically.
Yeah. Because I agree with you. I feel like she's created her own life now. Maybe other people wouldn't think it's much of a life, but for her, she's living her life, and her energy is like she's living her best life.
And it could be too that we are feeling how she was living up until she passed, and it could be that she has passed and we're just feeling up until whenever that was.
That is
Um,
possible.
I don't really, if you were to ask me to pick one, it would be the first thing I said, that she's alive and doesn't, it's not for anyone to out her. That would be where I feel right now. She feels more alive than not, but just a really interesting case.
And she has the ability to change her appearance, and so if anybody or somebody gets too close, she can just make herself look different.
Yeah, I feel like
wear a
she's
wig,
lived.
cut her hair, change the color.
Yeah, she lives. I'm curious about the whole Santorini thing, because she feels like she lives on an island somewhere, and not like a deserted island and not like a super small island, but it feels like she's not in the United States, and she feels like she's on an island somewhere. So, yeah, I'm interested that information you got too, Harlow. To me, that feels like that was like you were feeling the initial abduction, you know?
Could be.
The first thing when you were talking about that, Spain popped in my head for some reason, but then I looked up where Barbados is because, like you, Harlow, I am not geographically inclined, but that is apparently in the Bahamas. It's near St. Peter, I think, it's a country in the Caribbean, so that would be an island. And it's an independent British Commonwealth nation. I'm looking it up on YouTube, or I mean, not YouTube, on Google. Oh, and the Bridgetown, the capital, is a cruise ship port with colonial buildings. So there's beaches, botanical gardens, the Harrison's Cave Formation, and 17th century plantation houses. And okay, so there we go.
Stockholm syndrome, yeah. Yeah, I mean, they were all drugged. If someone actually went in the room, those rooms are small. I don't know how 3 people wouldn't see them. Yeah, I mean, I can't and won't make logic of the intuition I get. That would be for detectives to kind of figure out how that's possible, if at all. So yeah, I mean, I agree with you. It's a small space, and it is possible that, I don't know, that they all were, drugged or something.
And I agree 100%. The rooms are very small. I just know I stayed in a super tiny room, and my daughter and son-in-law and my grandkids stayed in probably that size room. So that seemed massive compared to the one
where you were.
Yeah.
Why did the dad think his daughter was missing in such a short time? I think that's what we were talking about earlier, of like parents' intuition. I mean, that's as Denise was alluding to, it's a very real thing, and parents know when something's not right.
Yeah. I mean, I still get those things with my kids now. I'm like, hey, what's going on?
Yeah.
They're like, oh, you're doing your thing, Mom. I'm like, can't help it when it comes to you guys.
Yeah, I think that's normal. Could the brother have been drugged lightly as well, as he was the last legitimate known contact?
Yeah, I had that one up already.
Yeah. And the neighbor, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think this is where it's like, all you can do is share your what you get intuitively, and then have others put the pieces together, and some of those pieces will fit and some of them won't, but I think we got a pretty good outline of where we think she could be, and what happened. So good work, Harlow.
Yeah, no, that was awesome. I mean, like I said, now I'm curious to watch the documentary because I haven't watched it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense considering when you take everything into the picture, it does make sense.
Yeah. Well, so Harlow, get a good night's sleep, because it's been nothing but kind of chaotic for you since we started this case last week.
Yeah,
so I'm sure you're glad this is over.
Well, not only that though, we've put this together pretty quickly. So
yeah,
I think what we decided for sure on Sunday that we were going to do it. So good job, Harlow.
I know. Thank you for that. Good work for sure. That was a short period of time. So we'll be back. So Harlow and I will be back next week for Ask the Aliens.
Yep.
We're going to have there's been some kind of advancements and stuff going on in the alien world that we're going to bring to the table, but also you guys bring your questions. If you could ask an alien anything, what would it be? Bring it. And then we're eyeballing August 14th for our next true crime. We're not sure yet. We aren't sure.
Possibly Madeline McCann.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. All right. Okay. So good read, you guys.
Yeah,
interested to see what comes of all this. Thanks, you guys, for tuning in as always. We'll see. I'll be doing a guided meditation. Just give me 5 minutes, and otherwise, we'll see you guys next week. Thank you.
Thank
Good
you.
work, girls.